The Giants rolled into town, and the Cowboys rolled them over.
And a play fake and a slant to the post to whip into the end zone. Touchdown.
It's going to be you versus us. You just got to stop us.
It wasn't pretty for the offense.
Slant for Dez too high.
Dak doesn't like himself right now.
Now they're trying to clean it up.
Throws, accuracy, not where I want to be.
But the defense dominated.
The ball's picked off by Anthony Brown at the 48.
You know, that's what we do. We fight every day.
Keeping New York out of the end zone.
Pressured sack. Charles Tapper just got his first pro sack.
Just that Marinelli man, that pressure bust pipes.
Today, the boys face a mile-high task.
Touchdown, Denver.
This is a tough offense. They played really well last week.
And the offense needs to find a way to contain this sackmaster.
You got to be aware of where he's at and know that he can change the game.
Cowboys Game Day starts now on CBS 11.
It's a beautiful day for Cowboys and Broncos in the Mile High City. Denver, Colorado Sports Authority Field at Mile High, the site for Dallas Cowboys football today. It's 10:30 on a September Sunday morning, and that can mean only one thing. It's time for Cowboys Game Day, live from the CBS 11 studios. Hello and welcome to Cowboys Game Day. Bill Jones along with the Manchester Pro Football Hall of Famer Randy White as we get you set for Cowboys Broncos 3:25 kickoff in Denver. And Denver is a city that you loved or hated to play in.
I did not enjoy, I don't like the altitude up there, Bill. I would be curious to see if it affects the Cowboys today, but it affected me the one time I played up there. I pulled a muscle, and I never pulled a muscle, so I blame that on the altitude.
All right, we blame that on the altitude. Let's see what's happening in Denver. Let's bring in live from Denver, Keith Russell, where Broncos fans are probably happy about things after a Monday night win over the Los Angeles Chargers, right, Keith?
Bill, Randy, Broncos fans are a mile high. It's a beautiful city. You know, the air is thin. The anticipation is thick of the Cowboys with a shot to go 2-0. You know, the Broncos, they're much better than the Giants, and they have a lot of North Texas connections. Von Miller, DeSoto High, Texas A&M, Aqib Talib, Richardson Berkner, Emmanuel Sanders, former SMU teammate of Cole Beasley, Ronald Leary, played for the Cowboys, DeMarcus Ware, we caught up with him this week, won his Super Bowl with the Broncos, all-time Cowboys sack leader. He says he will be at the game today with a big D on his hat, but we won't know what that D stands for. Guess what it stands for? It stands for Dak, baby. It stands for Dak. Bill, Randy, how well he plays today will be a huge key this afternoon.
That's right. They're going to honor DeMarcus Ware at the game today. And Cowboys, of course, got started last week the right way, a methodical, workmanlike performance against the New York Giants. No, Dak and Dez weren't clicking on all cylinders, but Prescott did connect with Jason Witten for one touchdown. No turnovers. It all added up to a 19-3 win. But some critics were left wondering why Dak and Dez weren't on the same page, and the Cowboys had to settle for so many field goals.
It's funny how the expectation of Dak Prescott has changed, hasn't it? There's a guy nobody really wanted that bad, take him late in the fourth round, you know, and now all of a sudden it's, you know, what's wrong with Dak Prescott on the first drive, and he ends up going 24-39, and we're sitting there going, what the heck's wrong with that guy?
It wasn't a clean game at all, but a win is a win. So, I mean, I'll take that. That's my job, is to give this team a chance to win, and I did that. But from a mechanic standpoint, throws, accuracy, not where I want to be.
And one thing we have seen from Dak Prescott in now the 17 regular season games we've seen him, if he does have a mechanical problem, he usually makes an adjustment. It's going to be very interesting to see him come out and how he's throwing against Denver today in the mile-high city of Denver. But you got to feel good about things with Dak at the controls, Randy.
Well, you certainly do. I mean, he's had as people want to say, a little shaky start the other night. Well, show me a quarterback that hasn't had a little shaky start. But I think Dak, his confidence level is high. He is going to be ready to go, and I think he'll have an excellent game here today up there in Mile High Stadium.
Well, in just a couple of passes attempts away from setting an NFL record for fewest pass attempts within the first 500 passes of a career, fewest interceptions. And that says a lot about Dak Prescott, how he values the football. Let's bring in Keith, because it's a different scenario this week when you look at the cornerbacks for the Broncos. You got Richardson Berkner's own Aqib Talib. You got Chris Harris. You got the third corner, Bradley Roby, a first-round draft pick. Dak is going to face a different challenge this week, Keith.
Bill, Randy, they call it the no-fly zone. Get it? We're in the Mile High City. Denver's pass defense calls itself the no-fly zone. How corny. It's not going to fly today. Yes, you have Aqib Talib, and you have Chris Harris, and you have Bradley Roby. And the Broncos since 2015 have allowed the fewest passing yards in the NFL. That's scary, right? Ooh, I'm afraid. But so is this. Dak Prescott against top 10 pass defenses last year, 3-0, 5 touchdowns, no picks. But the key will be how the Cowboys protect him. This week, I talked to starting right tackle Lyle Collins. I said, each week, you get the premier assignment. Last week, Jason Pierre-Paul. This week, Von Miller. He said, I look across, it's just a number. He's a man, I'm a man. Simple as that. Now, to the man, Randy White. You got to love that confidence.
Oh, you got to love it. I mean, he's got the right attitude. He don't care who they are across from him. He's going to line up and he's going to beat them. And I tell you, just like here, Pierre-Paul's trying to play the intimidation. You know why a defensive lineman does that? Because he's getting his butt kicked. That's why they do that. I've been there. So he's doing a great job. Collins at that tackle spot. It's a new side for him, a different stance, and I think he's doing an excellent job. And I think he'll do nothing but get better.
All right, but it's a different challenge this week against Von Miller. I don't know that I've seen in today's NFL a guy coming off the edge any faster than Von Miller. How does Lyle Collins accept that challenge?
Von Miller got fastest first step in football, Bill. What you got to do to this guy? Quick demo.
Uh-oh. Here we go, Randy.
Here we go. Down here, down in your stance, right? You're waiting on the pass. Normally, you take this shuffle step to here. Okay, Von Miller, now he's there. He's that quick. What do you do to correct that? You do what they tell you not to do. You take your step, you bring your foot together, now you're here. Now Von Miller's right here in front of me. Now I got him. If he wants to go inside, I'll shove him down and knock him over the pile. That's how you get Von Miller.
But it looks like sometimes Von Miller even beats the snap. What do you do when he does that?
Use that same footwork, Bill, and you'll still be ahead of him. You try to get ahead. The one that's ahead got the best chance of winning.
You know, one of the things, though, about Lyle Collins, and we saw it when he was playing the guard position as well, as a run blocker, he is vicious. Zeke Elliott, a 100-yard game last week. How did you look at what the Cowboys did in the run game with Zeke last week? And we saw a little bit of what I think we're going to see more of him, assuming he's eligible to play this year, catching the ball out of the backfield, too.
What I saw from this line last week, Bill, against a very good defensive line from the New York Giants, these guys were going backwards. They were going backwards, falling off the block to make tackles on Zeke. If these guys can continue to push the defensive line backwards, our offense is going to have no problem. And that's how you counter these great defensive backs or no-fly zone or whatever you want to call it. Hey, you run the football down their throat, then they don't get a chance to do anything. Let them see him make a tackle on Zeke when he runs over and puts his footprints in their mouth. That'll be good.
Well, the Broncos were not the no-run zone on defense last year. Keith, I think, really liked that. Keith, let's talk about Dez Bryant a little bit, because everybody wants to get the ball to Dez. That's what the fans say, critics say. You got to throw the ball to Dez. Well, then they tried to throw the ball to Dez, and it didn't work out so well, so now they're critical that, why are you throwing the ball to Dez so much?
And, you know, it's a double-edged sword for Dez Bryant. Everybody wants him to be the receiver he was in 2014 when he led the NFL with 16 touchdown catches. You know, there was that stretch where he was probably the most dominant wide receiver in the NFL. Then he signs that big contract. He gets hurt the next year. He was banged up last year. And people are saying, where is Dez Bryant? He got killed on the national circuit this week because people think he should put up big numbers every single game. Truth be told, he doesn't have to. Not on this Cowboys offense. That run game is monstrous. Dak Prescott likes to spread it around. Cole Beasley has emerged. Jason Witten is still Jason Witten. But you know, when you make that much money and you got that much hype, Bill and Randy, if you don't put up big numbers, you're going to draw criticism.
Hey, Randy, what do you think about where Dez is right now?
Dez is doing an excellent job. He's got a good attitude. He's doing everything right. He's a team player. Don't worry about the stats, Dez. It's going to come to you, buddy. It's going to come to you. Everybody's paying attention to you. They're doubling you. They're doing all these things, opening the guys up. Hey, they're going to have to let up on you a little bit. When they do, then you shine, buddy. Then you shine.
And the other thing is, Dak was wanting to get the ball to Dez. Those were run-pass options on the goal line, and he had the option of handing off or throwing to Dez, and he admitted afterwards he was just off target on his throws. Terrence Williams came up big after spraining his ankle on the first play of the game Sunday night against the Giants, he did something magical happen in the locker room, and he came back out there and led the team with 6 receptions for 64 yards. And, Randy, it looks like Terrence Williams will play today.
Well, Terrence Williams, I tell you what, he's maturing. He did this a lot last year, and I think he's continuing again this year. I mean, when they're covering Dez and they're giving Dez all that attention, Terrence Williams can make the play, Beasley can make the way play, and we know Jason Witten's always there to make the play. So we got a pretty good crew of pretty good offense going. Running the football, throwing the football. It's looking pretty good right now.
And Terrence, a pretty tough guy, too. Coming up, what if the Cowboys had drafted Paxton Lynch in 2016? We'll discuss what could have been. But first, time for our Frontier Communications trivia question. Marcus Allen had 15 straight games in which he rushed for at least 80 yards. That's an NFL record. He's tied with one other player. Can you name him? We have the answer after the break. I wonder who that could be, Randy.
It's got to be a Cowboy, so who could
you
that
think?
be?
Oh,
Tony
yeah.
Dorsett would be my guess, or Emmitt Smith. Either.
In our Frontier Communications trivia question, we told you Marcus Allen shares an NFL record for 15 straight games of at least 80 yards rushing. Who does he share the record with? Well, the answer, Ezekiel Elliott. He can break the record today if he gets 80 or more yards rushing. It's a stunned Randy White right here. How about that?
Well, my goodness, I did not think that he had done that. That's pretty good, Bill.
That is pretty good.
I thought it was either Emmett or Tony, one or the other, but I guess Zeke snuck in here on us.
He did. All right, Dak Prescott leads the Cowboys against the Broncos this afternoon. But what if the Cowboys had traded up into the first round to draft the quarterback they really wanted last year? Broncos backup Paxton Lynch. That trade would have cost them their 2nd and 3rd round picks last year, which means 2nd round selection linebacker Jalen Smith would never have become a Cowboy, and neither would their 3rd round pick last year, defensive tackle Malik Collins, who had 5 sacks and might make the Pro Bowl someday. Not to mention, they wouldn't have drafted Dak Prescott, who might have wound up in Denver. But based on how Dak's pre-draft visit went, probably not.
I took a visit up there to Denver. Didn't go as well as I'd say planned, so.
What happened? What happened?
Just didn't go well. I think I missed a flight going into Denver. A little traffic, so as I said, everything happens for a reason. Didn't make it to the gate. The door shut and had to wait. Now, I got there later that night, but missed the initial dinner. And I mean, I still had the visit, but I'm sure the quarterback not making the flight doesn't look too well.
So when the Cowboys drafted Dak, Randy, John Elway probably laughed and said, that guy can't even make his flight. How is he going to play quarterback in this league? But take a look at the last year's draft class. This draft class already ranks up there with one of the best in Cowboys history. You had Zeke in the first round, Jalen Smith, Malik Collins, Charles Tapper, Dak Prescott. And even as you went into the 3rd day, Anthony Brown started 10 games last year, an integral part of the secondary. Kayvon Frazier playing more. Rico Gathers might be the tight end of the future. It's not quite 1975, Randy White's Dirty Dozen, or 1965 with 3 Hall of Famers, but pretty good.
I'll tell you what, that was an excellent draft, and I wouldn't want to go rewind that movie and watch the other version of it, Bill. Let's keep the one we got. And hopefully these guys do pan out, and they get a Super Bowl win also.
Yeah, that's what it boils down to.
That's what it boils down to.
Super Bowl wins. Coming up, we'll head back out to Denver and rejoin Keith Russell. And how about this Cowboys defense? Are they the real deal? The Manchester buckling up his chin strap next on Cowboys Game Day.
It's time for the Nissan On the Road Report. Shop ChooseNissan.com. It's time for the State Farm Most Valuable Possession.
Today we focus on DeMarcus Lawrence, who had a breakout game of sorts with 2 sacks last Sunday night against New York. He used his quickness and strength to wreak havoc on Eli Manning and the Giants. A 19-3 season opening win for the Cowboys. As we welcome you back here to Cowboys Game Day, Bill Jones with the Manchester Randy White, live in studio and live in Denver, getting ready to head over to the stadium is our own Keith Russell. And let's talk Dallas defense a little bit, Keith. And how about that defense last week?
Hey, Bill, when's the last time we said the Cowboys defense carried the team? In week 1 of this season, it's always Sean Lee, Sean Lee and 10 other guys. That's the Cowboys defense. Sean Lee and 10 other guys. Well, they made a giant statement in week 1 that that's not the case anymore.
Prescott, who's in the gun.
The biggest names on the team have even taken notice of the biggest surprise so far.
I think our defense played their tails off.
Left pressure, sack.
I mean, they did awesome.
America's talking about the Dallas Cowboys defense.
No, that's the first time I've heard that, which is great. You know, we're working hard. We're trying to build a good team and make some good tackles.
Looking.
A defense sacked by the media time and time again. On the rise, thanks to the resurgence of DeMarcus Lawrence.
I went through a lot last year, you know, with the suspension and the injury, and I'm gonna just speak real. Like, nobody ain't want to talk to me until I get sacked, so like that's why I really don't care about talking now.
Will we be talking about the defense as positively going forward, or was week 1 an aberration?
We have room to improve, and we have to find a way to keep taking the next step as a defense and continue to look to cause more turnovers.
40 turnovers?
You know, that's the ultimate goal, yeah. Got to go find a way to do it. Hopefully the Cowboys reach that number. That means they have to get a few today. Talking to the Cowboys second-year safety, Kayvon Frazier, he said, we have just as much talent as the offense. Now, I'm not going to go there, but they are getting there, Randy, as far as DeMarcus Lawrence. Yes, we want to talk to you now that you had a multi-sack game, and we're going to keep talking to you as long as you keep bringing that quarterback down.
Well, Keith, that's where a defensive lineman gets his recognition, is sacking the quarterback. I mean, if you just make tackles out there on the football field, you're not going to get a lot of recognition. But you start getting quarterback sacks, that media guy's going to be crawling all over you to talk to you and see why you're doing that. But these guys are doing an excellent job. I say, Rob Marinelli, the way he coaches a football team, these guys are going all the time, and they're ready to play when they hit that field. They keep hustling and moving all the time, and when you're doing that, good things are going to happen to you. So hopefully this team can continue to improve and get better and do the things defensively, get the turnovers, disrupt the quarterback's timing, do all the things you have to do to be a successful defense.
And you saw number 99, Charles Tapper, got a sack in his first NFL game. All right, it's a different scenario this week against a mobile quarterback in Trevor Siemian. He's a lot more mobile than Eli Manning. He's not as mobile as, say, a Tyrod Taylor, but I was impressed watching him on Monday night against the Chargers.
Yeah, guy like this can hurt you, Bill. What the guys up front have got to be aware of is when you're in your lane, don't go way out of your lane. Like last week, you could run all over the place. Eli Manning's not going anywhere. This week, we got a guy that can run the football. So you have to keep him in front of you. Don't run past him and let him step up in that pocket. When you allow him to step up in that pocket, then they become dangerous, and that's when they make the big plays on you.
One thing that's really noticeable about this Dallas defense with Jalen Smith on the field, and he played a lot more snaps than a lot of people thought going into last week's game. When you got Sean Lee and Jalen Smith at the linebacker position, there's a lot more speed on the field than what we've seen in the past.
That's exactly right, Bill. I watched Jalen Smith last night. Of course, we know what Sean Lee does. Jalen Smith compliments Sean Lee out there, and that's one thing you can't coach. You can't coach speed, and you can't coach wanting to get to the football. And Jalen Smith's demonstrated that that's what he's going to do as a football player for the Dallas Cowboys. And if you do that, he's going to create big plays, just like he created that fumble on the last week. Those are the kind of things that happen when you get guys playing football with that type of an attitude.
Another big difference between the Giants last week, the Broncos this week, is the fact that this Broncos team, they want to run the football. With C.J. Anderson and the newly acquired Jamal Charles, it's going to be a key today for the Cowboys defense to stop the run. And Randy, that was something they were very effective in doing last year, but they're going to be tested today.
Well, they'll be tested, but I think that plays right into what Coach Marinelli wants to do. You want them to run the football on them. You know, you're going to get some big plays. You're going to stop them, and now you're going to put them in third and long situations if you can stop the run, and that falls into the defense's hands now. Now these young defensive backs that are bulletproof, now they can go out there and they can take a few chances and make some big plays.
And a big question mark remains over this Dallas secondary. Of course, so many free agent defections in the offseason, so many young guys back there, and now Orlando Scandrick not playing today after he fractures a hand on Sunday night. Anthony Brown has stepped up in a very big way, but you got the 2 draft picks. We saw Cheeto Awuzie, the second-round pick last week. We should see the third-rounder, Jordan Lewis, for the first time. He didn't even play play in the preseason. We should see him today.
Well, these guys just got to step in there, put a chip on their shoulder, and get up there and play football. That's what you got to do. They're getting an opportunity that people would love to have. So when you get your chance, you get out there and play. You go 100% and make good things happen.
And the Broncos have a couple 1,000-yard receivers from last year in Demaryius Thomas and SMU-X Emmanuel Sanders. Up next, some final thoughts, and it's prediction time. I wonder who Randy's got this week. Let's see. Here's a look at the NFC East standings, sponsored by Nissan. And oh, Randy, isn't that beautiful? The Cowboys are 1-0. They sit atop the division alongside the Eagles. Of course, the Cowboys at Denver today. Eagles play at Kansas City in the Andy Reid Bowl. Washington is at the Rams, and the Giants on Monday night will host the Lions. And yes, it is the Cowboys at Sports Authority Field at Mile High. It's a 3:25 kickoff against the 1-0 Broncos. Today, Bill Jones, Randy White, and Keith Russell is in Denver as we wrap up this edition of Cowboys Game Day. All right, who you picking, Randy?
Pick the Cowboys. Kicking game, field position. I think the Dallas will do it again this week when they get in the red zone. They'll score a couple more touchdowns than what they did last week.
And probably will need to. Kicking game was huge last week against the Giants. By the way, right here on CBS 11 at noon, we've got the Patriots at the Saints. Tony Romo on the call. I thought he was great last week. Can't wait to watch that. And join us tonight on CBS 11 News at 10 o'clock. We'll see you again next week right here on Cowboys Game Day.